I'm Ian Dobby out of 10th Planet Poway. I'll talk about the first time I met PJ, and then I'll go into my spiel. First time I met PJ Barch was at his gym. I asked him to roll, and he said no. And him being the kind guy that he is, I'm sitting there like a sad puppy wondering why he said no to me. And he points to his notebook. He said, I actually have all my rounds written down. Oh, you're a professional. So I copied him and went and got a notebook that same day, and I still have a notebook in my bag. So it's been a big influence on me as an athlete, and you could say as a coach as well. So yeah, and I'll go right into his ADCC performance. I was there. I got to see firsthand, first of all, it was my first ADCC, but to see PJ in that environment, ADCC being the end-all be-all, I was aware of how it went for him, 2 years ago. I know we had high hopes and dreams. I've heard a lot of people say, and it's a pretty common phrase, that one of the most memorable or most valuable experiences a person can go through is the admiration of your peers. And if you ask anyone, a competitor, an athlete, anyone else that saw PJ's performance at ADCC, he has earned the admiration of his peers to perform the way he did throughout the tournament. To have the match he had against Mika, who's been untouchable, to have that 15 minutes and then to come back after heartbreak and to perform the way he did and get a submission to end the tournament, that performance will define PJ for the rest of his life. It's something opponents, coaches, myself, everyone will look up to him for. Grateful to be there and see it all happen.
Okay, and that was Ian Dobby. Ian has been doing jiu-jitsu for about 14 months or so. He was a good high school wrestler. I think he won states here in California. And I think he had a cup of tea in college wrestling, kind of similar to me, where we just kind of went and hung out for a little bit and gave it a whirl. I think he got hurt. My situation was a little bit different. I was partying and doing drugs a little too much and stuff. But Ian is an interesting guy, I think that he's earned the respect of a lot of people here in San Diego. And it's kind of funny because while his jiu-jitsu proclivity is not quite there, he's done this thing where he's a bit naive to the politics of jiu-jitsu. And he's a bit naive, or he's a bit smart, I don't know, to play dumb to the politics of jiu-jitsu and the traditional norms of staying in your gym and things like that. And for better or for worse, it's kind of like opened up some opportunities and some new ways of thinking and, giving people opportunities to train with each other that usually don't. That plus his kind of charisma and his, kind of jovial. He's a likable guy. His naivety and his likability has allowed him to kind of infiltrate a lot of gyms and situations and high-level competitors and things like that and befriend them and kind of bring them together in a different way that we probably wouldn't have seen before in San Diego. It's definitely throwing a wrench into some ideals and norms and stuff like that we haven't seen before too often. And I will credit him for that. He's done a lot of that on his own. Where it's going or if it's good or if it's bad. But for right now, it's fun. It's cool to see Ian trying to bring people together. It's cool to see Ian doing what he's doing in his limited amount of time that he has here in jiu-jitsu in a short amount of time here. And I think he's talented and he's smart and he listens well and he's really taking notes and stuff. He was joking around about the first time he had met me and I'm a little bit structured with my training, and my number one goal is to not get hurt in training. And so picking partners is important for me, and I do oftentimes have a notebook of what I'm trying to work on before practice, who my training partners are going to be that day, which rounds are lined up. And when he came to ask me to train that day, I had already written down all 5 of my rounds in order with a specific reasoning and stuff like that. And so, I'm not trying to be a dick in those situations. I just, trying to be a professional. I'll train with people, and I train with Ian now, for sure, all the time. I appreciate him and I appreciate what he's done and what he's trying to do. And I don't take it personally when he's in the corner of my potential teammates and things like that, because I mean it is a funky situation, you know. He does corner people that are in my brackets and he coaches them and stuff like that, and I don't think that this sport needs to be maybe so emotional all the time, you know what I mean. I understand when you're trying to keep a team together, and maybe there's somebody that's like pulling guys from your practice room. If that's the case, then I could see that being a negative, but overall, I see a net positive in bringing people together and figuring out a way that we can like not only train together or be friendly with one another, but also compete against each other. You know, I think that this is like a much more American way of doing things as well. That maybe Brazilian culture has been a bit more keen to this idea of not thinking about it in the same way, you know? And I think that coming up in a wrestling background, I think we're much more used to training with the guys, and then maybe the next weekend we have to go against them. Very, very common. And this is a situation that I ran into my entire life, so it's not a big deal for me to be able to do that. Some guys are as used to that in the sport. I appreciate Ian. I think he's cool. I think he's funny. I hope he sticks it out a little longer here in this life. So, because sometimes he looks like he's about to explode. His heart or something, you know.